Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dr. Nasir Sheikh Show. I am your host, Dr. Nasir, and what do we have on tap for you today, folks? Well, it's another video clip. It's from The View, which I call the rear view. That's right, folks. It's those laughable, leftist, lunatic ladies of the rear view. They're cackling. They've got their hens, the audience, right? All the audience hens in the ABC studio pens. That's right, folks. And the verbal diarrhea, which is being set forth out here in terms of the giddiness, the happiness that these cackling hens have, that President Trump is going to be indicted and arrested soon. Well, folks, they're having a political orgasm. So let's see him shake. Let's see him quake. Let's see him cackle. Let's go to the video right now.
Welcome to The View. On Saturday, you know who claimed on social media he will be arrested tomorrow by the Manhattan DA on charges he paid hush money to Stormy Daniels to benefit his campaign. He also rallied his supporters to get out there and protest. And here's the reaction from both sides of the aisle. Take a look.
The fact that the Manhattan DA thinks that indicting President Trump is his top priority, I think, is just tells you everything you need to know about the radical left in this country. It just feels like a politically charged prosecution here.
I don't think people should protest this, no. And I think President Trump, if you talk to him, he doesn't believe that either. This is why you should really make law equal, because if that was the case, nothing would happen here.
Violence is never the right answer, and I always worry about it. There's no reason to protest this. This is the law operating as it should. Without.
So now we have to listen to this old bag, this cultural appropriator, identity appropriator, ethnicity appropriator, race appropriator. I mean, everything that you could think of that you could appropriate, this POS has done. And we want to listen to what she has to say. Elizabeth, the appropriator Warren, you got to be kidding me, folks, all right? Anything she says, I don't even give a damn what the hell she says.
Without fear or favor for anyone.
So, son,
Yes,
Son.
how serious are these potential charges?
Look, I think the severity matters a little less than how easy it's going to prove. Many of the charges that they're looking at are falsifying business records. We know he's done that for a really long time. He's claimed to be a gazillionaire. He's provided these records. His chief financial officer is actually in prison right now at Rikers serving time for falsifying business records. So it wouldn't be a difficult thing to prove, and that's a misdemeanor charge. Misdemeanor charges are criminal, and it's about 6 months. You could stack misdemeanor charges because if we're talking about 10 business records or 20 business records, that's 6 months a pop. And a judge could ask you to serve them consecutively, meaning one after the other instead of concurrently all together. I think the more serious charge that they're looking for is one that is sort of unprecedented. This whole situation is unprecedented, let's face it, right? But one possibility is that prosecutors could assert that the payment itself that Michael Cohen says he
What he went to jail for?
yeah.
Making? Okay.
And we see Trump's signature on some of these documents, that payment itself violated state campaign finance law. And that would be a felony. And people spend up to 4 years in prison for that.
Right.
And so
Nobody, she's a lying POS. Nobody has ever served any jail time that I know of. Please correct me, but I can't think of anybody. Dinesh D'Souza. He was targeted by the Obama monarchy for making campaign contributions. I think it was like $20,000 that other people gave and he reimbursed people for. And normally it's a slap on the wrist, get some community service, pay a fine, it goes away. Nobody goes to jail for these campaign finance violations. It never happens. She doesn't know what the hell she's talking about.
The two together, I think, it's fairly serious. What I don't think is going to happen is that we're going to see President Trump perp walked like you see. He wants that. He wants that Steve Bannon weirdo crazy moment. I don't think that's going to happen. I think perhaps the leak that he's talking about is that generally when there's a target of an investigation and then there has been an indictment, as a prosecutor, you call the lawyer and you say, listen, we've indicted your guy. I'm not going to perp walk him. He's the ex-president of the United States. I'm going to give him the grace to come into my office and be charged.
Right.
That's how it happens. I don't think he wants it to happen like that.
They may not perp walk him, but I think they're going to have to mugshot him.
Yeah, they will.
They may not have to perp walk him, but I think they're going to have to mugshot him. Oh, good grief. We're going to hear from Ano, Charo, Gucci, Navarro.
I mean,
They will.
He might also know about this or heard rumblings because, of course, he has Secret Service security. And so you can't just show up at Mar-a-Lago without there being some liaising and interfacing with the Secret Service that guards him and his family and his, place of residence.
And
I actually
law
know
enforcement would have to be involved if they're trying to arrest him in
Florida. It's not in jurisdiction.
It would be better for him
There's
to
actually
come here.
a case in South Florida involving a former Republican Congressman, David Rivera, where his girlfriend, who served as an intermediary to make payments to a straw candidate, ended up in jail.
Yeah.
So this is clearly against the law if they can prove it. It really bothers me, though, to hear Trump and his minions try to extort the American legal system, try to extort the American people, threaten them, be thugs about it, and say, if you arrest me, there's going to be protests. If you arrest me, there's going to be bedlam. And people go on this, kind of echo this message and say, you shouldn't arrest him because it's going to embolden his supporters. It's all a political prosecution. No, what would be political is to not prosecute somebody who's committed a crime and who has been indicted just because he's a former president.
Yeah.
Or maybe it could be Hillary Clinton, right? Or Adam Schiff, or any of those people associated with the Ukraine, collusion illusion, or with the Russia collusion illusion, or Hunter Biden, or President Joe Biden, with all of the graft and the bribery and the monies that his family got, and all the money that Hillary Clinton got, and through the Clinton Foundation. Maybe that could be something, instead of having different levels of justice for different people, that you get basically put into the slammer, you get arrested, you get indicted if you happen to be a conservative, if you happen to be a Republican, if you happen to be, right? If you happen to be on the right side. But if you're leftist, if you're a liberal, if you're a Democrat, you can skate. This is Anna, Charo, Gucci, Navarro.
That's not what we do in this country.
That's not what we do in this
It happens
country.
in places like Cuba, like Nicaragua, like North Korea.
In Cuba, in Nicaragua, in El Salvador, in Latin America, Gucci.
Yeah. In the United States, the thing that sets us apart is that nobody is above the law.
above the
So if
law.
you broke the crime, you pay the time.
Don't you feel, though, like it's a little bit of a veiled threat that Trump's representatives keep coming out and saying they'll protest? It's, to me, in the past...
They didn't
it's
like
always-
it when BLM protested.
But it's been like a call to arms. I think it's not only kind of a call to arms outside, but it's like a warning to...
It's like an intimidation tactic.
There might be a January 6th part 2 if you push
do
through
this.
with this. And I also don't think, you know how you talked about...
January 6th, part 2. January 6th, part 2. Oh, they're just loving to say that, aren't they? These guys, the verbal diarrhea. You can't buy a shovel large enough to pick up the excrement that is emanating from these 5 absolutely... You know what? If you were to add up the IQs of all these 5 ladies, folks, you know how much you would have to add to that number to get back to 0? I mean, they are so far down in the negative amount in terms of IQ that it would be an absolutely unbelievably high number just to get it to 0 for the IQs of these 5 ladies. It's unbelievable, folks. Unfreaking believable. This stupid, you know what? Again, simmer. SIMR. I coined that acronym. Stupid, idiotic, moronic, retarded. But each and every one of those gals up there, they're quaking. They're having a political orgasm because they can't wait for President Trump to be indicted, for him to be charged, and for him to go to jail. And I'm telling you what, folks, I said before, I'm hoping that happens. I'm hoping that he gets indicted. I'm hoping that he's charged. I'm hoping that there's a trial, because I'll tell you what, that just seals the deal for 2024. He gets arrested, he gets indicted, pencil it in. He's a lock for the presidency in 2024. He is going to galvanize his base like never before. The independents are going to be pissed off because they're going to say that the Biden administration politicized and weaponized the FBI, the DOJ, the state attorney generals of New York City, and a lot of Democrats that are on the fence, and those Reagan Democrats, they're going to come back and they're going to say, you know what, this is wrong. We're not going to let this happen. And they're going to vote, folks. They're going to vote for Trump. That's exactly what's going to happen.
If he goes voluntarily, Sonny, it makes me wonder about the confidential documents, though, because if you want your people to think they are unjustly coming for you, make them storm Mar-a-Lago. Well, he did resist for a year giving up his documents. If he refuses to go, they probably would have to perp walk him, which would feed the narrative here. Because I think
he wants that.
He does want it, but I think the problem here is he keeps calling to everyone to say, like, get ready, save your nation, and he doesn't say peacefully, although his people keep walking it back. No, he didn't really mean that. That wasn't what he was saying. There were 1,000 arrests on January 6th, 500 guilty pleas. He's not going anywhere or prison. The people that are going to go protest are the ones that are going to get busted. So remember, the guy at the top goes nowhere, and you are going to take the fall.
I think he will be in prison this time. I've been saying it for 2 years, but I really believe he's got 4 cases in 4 different jurisdictions, and a lot of them are paper trail cases. Do you know how easy paper trail cases are?
That's what's interesting to me, because I have no doubt he did this, and no one is above the law, as we said. I'm a little uneasy over all this, and it's because, first and foremost, the language that he's using is scary. We saw it on January 6th when he says, get out, take your country back, protest. We know what he's calling for. We don't need to read between the lines there.
Really?
But I am nervous that of the 6, both civil and criminal investigations into him, this one seems like it's, not to say the weakest, it's a strong case, but it carries the shortest sentence.
But it's the easiest to prove, and so...
But the Georgia one, the Fulton one is...
I would feel a lot better if the unprecedented step of a former president being, whether he is or isn't perp walked, and, arraigned, arrested, have his mugshot taken, I want that to be a rock-solid slam dunk case that's going to keep
a
him.
misdemeanor is going to keep him, I think, though, regardless of whether or not, it's a felony, I think the goal is to never have this man be in a position of power again, not even a crossing guard.
But that's
Not even a crossing guard. Oh my goodness. The Cackling Hen, another cultural appropriator, name appropriator, ethnicity appropriator, race appropriator, and race baiter, bigot, race hater, race traitor, all those. For who? Sonny, Asuncion, Cummings, Hostin. Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable.
Fear. So the image of his mugshot for something that his base will say, oh, it was a minor campaign finance violation, I think will embolden them and rally them.
I love that stuff becomes minor when it has to do with him. I'm just saying that, if you did this...
If you did this, 2 different things of justice. Hillary Clinton did this. Nothing happened to her. Everybody okay on the Ukraine Commission. Ukraine. They did it. Nothing happened to them. Russia. Nothing happened to them. All the Biden stuff. Nothing happened to them. And now we have another. We've got whoop-de-doo, the culture appropriating person who basically says she's a Jew. It's not true for whoop-de-doo. Let's hear what whoop-de-doo, and more lies, folks, more lies, more verbal diarrhea emanating from the Cackling Hens at the rear view.
You'd be in jail.
You would be in jail, as you were
not
talking
fun.
about. You can't do these things. We're either we're all going to be held accountable, or nobody's going to be held accountable.
Yeah.
And I also find it interesting because I think, well, why would he tell your people and not tell his people? Talking about Alvin Bragg. Why would Alvin Bragg not tell his people what was going down? How come you're the only one that knows? Because you're the only one that's saying this.
Yeah.
You're the only one that is saying this is coming. And as you pointed out, listen, you know that he lied. You know that he lied to you. He told y'all that the election was stolen, and it was not. And people let that lie go to make sure that you heard it. You do notice that he can say, yes, this is terrible, and come out for me. But he doesn't come out for his people. Right. He has not said anything about the folks that have been...
Now, she says, hasn't come out. He was here 2016 for the forgotten man and woman. All right? Whoop-de-doo. Who culturally appropriated and lying about being a Jew? I mean, why would we listen to you? You just cackle. As I said before, have no idea what you're talking about, but just hoping and praying that you think that this is going to stop 2024. It's not, folks. It's not going to stop. He'll be charged. He can be indicted. He can still run for president. There's nothing in the Constitution that forbids you or prevents you from running for president if you've been indicted or charged. There's nothing in there, folks. Absolutely nothing. And this is going to continue. And like I said before, I really certainly hope that he is charged, he is indicted, he is perp walked. He needs to do everything in his power to make sure that this becomes an absolute focal point of the 2, 3, 4-tiered system of justice, which happens to various people depending upon where you are politically, where you are, in terms of, well, obviously he's, wealthy or whatever. In this case, that doesn't mean a hill of beans, I don't think, to anybody in terms of how much money he has. But the fact of the matter goes is that on the political scales of justice, there's a different scale system, folks, for Democrats and leftists and liberals and whatever. And for conservatives and Republicans, it's completely different. And that's the bottom line. And as I said before, this will solidify, it will cement the presidency in 2024, no doubt about it, solidify, galvanize his base as never before. I mean, if you think his base was galvanized before, this is just going to absolutely interlock and cement it in titanium, vibranium, basically, folks. It's going to be unbreakable if this goes through. And I don't think you could get any better press than basically being shown how weaponized the state and the government is going after him for absolutely nothing that nobody else has ever been convicted for at all. Anyways, we appreciate taking time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your host, Dr. Nasir. If you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. Let us know what you think in the comments below. My final comment is, when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.